the greatest country in the world. All of the countries I got my little girls. Cuba, number one exporter of sugar. All of the countries have inferior sugar. Cuba, home of famous cigars. It's started by capitalists all around the world. Cuba, Cuba, you're a very nice place. From hills of Guantanamo to southern Havana. Cuba, friend of all except America. They're very nosy people with gold up their ass. Cuba, industry best in world. We invented coffee and a shaving knife. Cuba, Cuba, you very nice place. From hills of Guantanamo to southern Havana. From brass mighty penis of our leader. From junction with the testes to tip of his face. Cuba, Cuba, you very nice place. From hills of Guantanamo to southern Havana. Come brass mighty penis of our leader. From junction with the testes to tip of his face. Cuba, Cuba, you very nice place. From hills of Guantanamo to southern Havana. From brass mighty penis of our leader. From junction with the testes to tip of his face.
La vara te quiero, puedo sentarme de mi vuelo. La vara sento amigo, hasta el goma empalado. La vara te quiero, puedo sentarme de mi vuelo. La vara sento amigo, hasta el goma empalado. La vara sento, stella vola sento, stella vola sento, hasta el goma empalado. La vara sento, stella vola sento. Stella vola sento por hasta el luma de bailao. La vara sente quiero, puedo sentarme de mi vuelo. La vara sento amigo.
What is up, everybody? How you guys doing out there? It's Sociallust coming at you live. I hope everything is looking good and crispy. I hope it's not lagging. If it lags, I will end my life and commit seppuku. Seppuku? I don't know. Anyways, how y'all doing? How was Thanksgiving? Hope you guys had a good time. Let's give Tadhajahiki some love. I love this song. This song is so good. You keep it hid. When it's nice to say you're sorry. When you make the balls of it. I say it to every bridge. Are you sorry for what you did? Be like me and say you're sorry so, cause you've made a balls of it. Sorry I forgot to feed your rabbit. No lettuce for little Marv. Are you sorry for the famine? And letting us to starve. Sorry for getting stroppy, I get desperate monthly cramps. Are you sorry he introduced Hitler to concentration camps? You did what? Are you sorry for what you did? You are, you keep it so well. wellhead.
Sorry for saying you've a fat arse, I gets nasty after wine. Are you sorry what you did in India, or betraying Palestine?
Woo.
Sometimes rushing like a fool, I'll hold my hands up there, but I have nothing on the hastiness of Iraq and
Tony Blair. We're sorry, don't understand barter. We give you our lives, our land, and you gave us Nathan Carter.
I'm sorry, we're much loved and no one
Like
likes
ye.
But
But you did invade half the world, playing about immigrancy.
sorry for what you did. If you
Like, how are you gonna invade most of the world and then complain about immigrancy? Like, that's literally what our country's doing right now. We invaded most of the southern, like, Latin American countries. We invaded the Middle East. We invaded all these fucking countries, and then we complain about, why are there so many people moving out of there? Why are people leaving the Middle East and Latin America? And why are all these shitty island countries all really poor and shitty? Oh. Man, I just don't fucking know. I don't get it. I don't know what we could be doing. I don't know. No, let's keep on bombing shit. It's like, come on, bro. Keep invading, bombing shit, and enslaving people. Either through literal slavery or through capitalism.
keep it hid, when it's nice
They say you're sorry when you make a balls of it. Say it to every breast. Are you sorry for what you did? You take me and say you're sorry when you make the balls of it. You sorry for what you did. You keep it hid so well hid. Ha! That's cool. I don't know why he got in drag, but that's fine. I like drag.
Coming soon, the greatest hits of the British Empire.
Drag is awesome.
Barmerstra Massacre, Second Boer War concentration camps, famines in India, exacerbating the Irish famine, the international slave trade, the BRICS plan in Malaysia, British expedition to Tibet, partition, my personal favorite, the Mau Mau uprising, musket sold separately.
Must get sold separately. That's literally how our country acts. The colonial ass empire. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys about Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein from H3H3 has been making some waves, man. He's been like losing his noggin. Ethan Klein has been losing his fucking brain, bro. His brain matter is gone. His brain matter is gone. He can't even edit his fucking he can't even like fix his like he can't even fix the brightness on his cameras or nothing. Like he just like he's losing his brain. It's crazy. But anyways, cuz I know my camera is not working either. I'm using my shitty barely functioning phone for my camera, so go easy on me. Let me see, actually, speaking of my camera. Speaking of my camera! What happens if I lower it to even lower resolution? Will it run better? I don't know. We're about to find out. I doubt it. It'll probably still lag. We'll
right?
see.
So here's one of those videos, and I'll play it for you now.
Well, I'm a liberal Zionist, and I have to say that I actually do agree with a lot of what the pro-Palestinian left has to say about Israel. the occupation is awful and it needs to end. The settlers are crazy. We have to do
Yeah.
something about that. Netanyahu is a criminal. He's going to lead Israel to ruin. The 17-year siege
This is literally how Ethan Klein's acting right now. Look.
of Gaza has been brutal, and it is completely unconscionable. I agree that Israel is essentially, in parts of it, an apartheid state. But, like, the one thing is, after the 7th, the thing is that I don't care anymore. I'm bad now. Because, like, here's the thing. After the 7th, I just kind of realized if it's us or them, then it's got to be us. No more them. I never thought I could be a fascist, but I think I'm a fascist now. And it's kind of great because I have all these new friends. Me and Amy Schumer and the ugly guy from Stranger Things. And I'm getting all these new job opportunities. And I'm like, okay, if this is what... I didn't know that fascism came with stuff. If I had known that, I'd have been a fascist a long time ago. It's
Damn.
kind of nice, too, because now I get to be like, ooh, I'm bad. So I'm just going to be bad now. Like, I can still believe all that other stuff, too, but just not now. I'm going to wait till later. But for now, I'm going to
Damn.
be bad. Okay. Bye-bye.
That is literally
So,
that is literally how these liberal Zionists and like fucking liberals and loser ass, like, they're not even leftists. They're not real leftists because they don't stand for Palestine or for black people or for poor people. What the fuck are you talking about? Israel is doing the genocide. I'm just trying different settings out. See what the fuck works. I'm gonna buy a camera real soon. Don't worry, guys. I will buy a camera very soon, but I gotta deal with my phone for a bit, you know, because shit's gonna be strapped in America for a while. Okay, let's continue.
that's the video. Some of you have seen that, and it was at a time before I had done this podcast.
Yeah, I seen that video a long time ago. That skit he did about being a Zionist, a liberal Zionist, and I thought he was literally like legit a Zionist. Like I was scared. I was like, whoa, is this guy really like mean, like an evil fucking asshole now? But it was just a skit. But like I didn't realize it was a skit. But it's crazy. It's really good.
That's right. So as soon as I put that out, I started getting replies from people being like, "Oh shit, shots fired, Ethan Klein." Like, "Oh, this is about Ethan, isn't it?" And it got like posted on like a subreddit that's just Ethan Klein haters, which is it's crazy. That's how you know you've made it is if you've got a subreddit dedicated
For real.
to people talking shit about you. And yeah, it was posted there, and people just were thinking I was doing a parody of him, which wasn't the case. I had no idea why they thought it would be Ethan, because so like when I was making these videos, I was pulling from conversations that I had been having with people in my life who, despite being like proudly progressive or like anti-racist or leftist before October 7th, they'd slipped into like a pro-Israel Hezbollah-pilled frame of mind.
Yup.
So I'd talk to them and I would try to see if I could get them to like follow their own progressive logic. You know, like if racism bad
Yup.
and apartheid bad, then supporting racist apartheid state doing war, that's
Bad.
so bad. And I couldn't get them to like like see these principles through, and it was very frustrating. I kept hitting like this brick wall of like perceived anti-Semitism, right? And like I couldn't understand the way they could square being like, I'm anti-racist and I'm pro-Israel, and it just it made me crazy. So I decided to like make these videos because it's the only way I could, vent my frustration in a way that other people can understand. And I had a lot of these like ridiculous conversations with people, and trying to get them to admit basic shit like Gaza is under occupation. Like they wouldn't even do that, some of them. And then there were some who would. They would be like, Israel is an apartheid state. Israel is racist. Israel has a right-wing genocidal cabinet. Some people just love razor wire. Thank you, Adam. And like, they would get that far, but then as soon as it was like, so you should not be supporting this war effort.
They're like, no, Israel has a right to exist. I have to defend Israel. They forget all about the racism and the protecting a fucking genocidal state and the apartheid. They're like, what do you mean Israel's bad?
They'd be like,
Are you anti-Semitic? No, motherfucker, I hate Nazis. I hate fascists. What the fuck are you talking about? Anti-Semitic.
well, what else can they do? And it drove me insane. Like, people were, they cared more about the fear of a possible genocide against the Jewish people while, actual genocide was happening to people in Gaza. So this videos came from those conversations.
Yeah, like, I love Jewish people. I love everybody. I don't really love Nazis. That ideology, you know what I mean? I don't love authoritarian ideologies or fascist ideologies or Christian, or any type of nationalism or like religious like superiority complex and shit. I don't like that stuff of any religion. I am agnostic. I think religion just breeds infighting and war. So it's like I don't hate anybody. I just hate ideologies and systems. And if that system and ideology, if you believe in that and that certain system and ideology like hurts others, I'm going to tell you you're fucking wrong and you're supporting a bad system.
And I was kind of baffled as to why people thought I was talking about Ethan Klein, because I don't listen to his podcasts. I don't watch his streams. I don't watch streams. I don't understand. I'm old. I don't understand them. They're so long. When do you start watching? Do you just go on and off? Isn't there other stuff to watch? What about The Penguin? It's a pretty good show on HBO. I just don't understand streams. I know they exist. I don't understand them. So I've never really seen his shit before. I've just seen clips. And post October 7th, I kind of thought like Ethan was fine because of some of the clips that I had seen. It seemed like he had like some moral clarity. And I'm going to play some of those clips for you now.
So many Gazan.
This is from October 9th.
They're going to die because of Israel. Because the Israel government is fucking barbaric, genocidal freaks. And I hate them.
Yeah, he was good for a while. Ethan Klein was saying like truthful shit for a while, and then he like totally like lost his shit. He totally lost his shit. I don't know. His dog died. His brain rotted away from depression and sadness. He dumped Hasan over. He dropped leftovers. Did all this shit out of nowhere. And now he's a fucking weirdo. He's a weirdo right-winger now, literally. He's a weirdo right-winger now, looking like Jordan Peterson with his fucking exposure all the way up. Come on, bro.
Here come the black helicopters.
Fuck, I know. I hear
You
it
criticize
coming.
Israel.
You know what I mean? The cabinet is run by genocidal maniacs.
This is from
Okay.
October 12th.
They're led by Netanyahu.
By the way, this is from a stream or episode of a show that he used to do with streamer Hasan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who should resign in disgrace and go to prison for being a war criminal. Okay. He's made a coalition of the most like radically conservative freaks that don't represent, by the way, the majority of Israelis. And they're hellbent on genocide, frankly, overtly. They've committed tons of war crimes in Gaza, including the killing of children, obviously, because Gaza is one of the most densely populated places in the world. 50% of the residents are under 18, so when you bomb a building, the chances that you're killing children is pretty much 100%.
Adam just wrote, I don't think the White House should have let him stream from there.
Yeah, it's
right.
anti-Semitism, man. What the fuck?
Okay? It's fucking barbaric.
The White House is spewing anti-Semitism right now, bro. Look,
Unacceptable. It's disgusting. I've seen
it's
videos.
criticizing Israel.
You know, I saw videos of Palestinian dads holding their his dead like 5-year-old daughter. I mean, and there was another one that like, as a father, it's even hard to talk about. This dude was holding his infant. It was like a year old.
When I first saw that,
Yeah,
you know,
he used to be like very emotional and like he felt bad for Palestinians, and now he's like, fuck all of that, man. All these protesters that are pro-Palestine are terrorists. They're all terrorists supporting pieces of fucking shit. Fuck all these, you know. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up, yo. You lost your mind. You literally went into the dark side. You went into the dark side of the Force, brother. You dwelled in like sad thoughts too long, and now you're a fucking Sith.
again, this was October 12th, I think they said is when that stream was. And to have like December happen, you know, we get to December, I make this, you know, these liberal Zionist videos, and people are like, oh, this is Ethan. I was confused. It was like, I don't think you need to worry about your guy, you know, like just based on the people I was talking to, I was like, it seems like he may have whatever reservations, but it seems like he's almost all the way there. Like, I don't know what's going on in that world, and I have no interest in finding out. Like,
right.
The idea of like going through the amount of research that I did just to do this episode. Yeah, never again will I have to watch this much streaming content. But that's not to say this is worse. I know that this isn't any better than streaming. I'm like, you know, for me, I was watching Ethan Klein stuff, and I was like, why am I doing this? But anyways, I was confused. I didn't know why people were saying this, so I kind of like, you know, ignored. I was like, you know, whatever. It's the internet. People think there's like an imminent Zionist heel turn he's gonna make, and you know, I kind of felt like, sure, he has his reservations, but there's nothing like an actual genocide being committed by a regime that you deem is genocidal to make you feel silly, complaining about people putting air quotes around Israeli salad or whatever. So I was like, you know, whatever reservations will surely be gone at some point, because he's going to be so disgusted as he was, you know, in that video about what the Israeli government is doing. So I didn't worry about it. And then I don't know what the fuck happened.
For real, yo.
All of a sudden I started seeing this kind of shit.
Today, my friends, we are going to play the exciting game here. You at home, play along. We're going to play, is it Twitch or is it a terrorist? Let's take a look here, guys.
So,
oh my
for those of you
God,
listening,
that's so
now he
bad.
has two images next to each other. One is
Such a shitty fucking joke, Ethan Klein. Oh my God, the joke they made was nothing like this. It said, what the fuck was he's doing this as a response to the joke that Frogan had with, like, what was it, mayonnaise or whatever the fuck? Israeli, it wasn't even Israeli, it was fucking, hummus. Bro. Sabra. Oh my God, dude. This is literally, like, Islamophobic and fucked up. Like, literally. Because you're comparing them to each other, and people hate Osama bin Laden, and you know someone's gonna try to kill Hasan over that shit. You know someone's like, oh, he's literally like Osama bin Laden? Well, I gotta kill Hasan. I'm gonna go, oh, Hasan. Bro, you are a fucking piece of shit, Ethan Klein. Go fuck yourself. Fucking piece of
Osama bin Laden, and one is Hassan Piker. And so clearly, I missed whatever the fuck happened. I was like, how did we get here? You know, what is going on with this guy? And so I started doing research, and you know, in trying to like find out what happened to make Ethan's brain do this, I had to like look at a bunch of clips, and I found one, ironically, with the help of his wife Hila, who posted a list of clips in which he was actually pro-Palestine on their own subreddit. She had like posted that. I was like, oh, this seems like a good resource. And I think I found one that explains pretty much everything going on in his brain.
so hard to pull myself
This is from
to some kind
March
of central
2nd.
ground where we can have a real conversation about this stuff. I'm pulled myself all the way to, outright saying that it's apartheid, that it's genocide, that the Israeli government is committing. And so, but you still want to call me a racist and a genocide and a Zionist. Why would you call me a Zionist if it wasn't just, oh, you're a fucking Jew? When I have said all the things that you
Bro,
want
Zionist doesn't mean a Jewish person. Joe Biden's a fucking Zionist. Joe Biden is a fucking Zionist. Joe Biden is a fucking Catholic piece of shit and a Zionist. He's not Israeli. He's not a Jewish person. You fucking dumb fuck. You stupid piece of shit. Go fucking educate yourself. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, I want to rip my nipples off. Like, you're so stupid, dude. Oh my God. You're just a literal you are doing this shit on purpose, Ethan Klein. You're literally doing this shit on purpose. You're misleading people on purpose. You're conflating Zionism with Judaism. You fucking asshole. I wish I would have never grew up watching your ass, dude. Bro, that shit pisses me off so much. Cause Hasan's gonna get he could get it. He's in danger. There's so much Islamophobia in the world. Like, he is in danger because of this shit.
hear from me. I want to meet you right in the fucking middle, and you still spit in my face. So give me a fucking break. Who's the problem? Scumbag. Scumbag. And you know what? I don't want to call out this because I'm going to say this because it pissed me the fuck off. And being an anti-Semite openly and proudly is now likes on Twitter. Rogan, she tweeted out, she goes, I have a problem with my Zionist therapist. Just call him a fucking Jew. I'm sorry, but you can't talk like that about any other fucking minority. I had a problem with my Zionist therapist. What'd you taught your Zionist therapist?
So I think I've figured it out. I think I understand there are two things that made Ethan this way. One, not knowing anything about Zionism or Israel.
Yeah, you
and
a stupid fuck.
Frogan, who is our next guest. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, please welcome our most moral guest this episode. It is the streamer, Frogan. Hey.
Watching that was such a wild ride.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
Especially like the early shit, right? Where you're watching like what I see is definitely like real emotion. Like he's seeing all of these horrible images.
Be right back.
Only 5 days after October 7th, it just kind of reminds you how quickly that shit went. Like how immediate the aftermath was.
Yeah. But to be honest, like him and our like beef started literally right at October 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beef started with you guys at October 7th. That's what you said?
Yeah. Everything started between him and I like around October 7th. I think like October 12th is like when he came after me initially.
Oh, interesting. Because it's funny. I'm watching that and I'm going like trying to pin the radicalization. And so I just kind of assumed like as the months went on, that he was being fed a slow diet of Hezbollah and had completely changed his tune. But he was already going after you then. What was he? What was going on that he was going after you then?
So what happened is on October 7th, in the early hours, I want to say it was like 5 o'clock in the morning my time. Whenever I tweeted it, it was like. It was announced that like Palestinians were breaking down the wall. I didn't know anything else happening. It was just like Palestinians broke down the wall. So I tweeted, leftists preach and foam at the mouth at the thought of revolution. But whenever people in the Middle East do it, it's bad.
Yeah. I think I saw that tweet. I saw that tweet. Yeah.
At that point in the time, I didn't know what was happening. All I knew, the only news that was reported was Palestinians broke down the wall.
Yeah.
it was like 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern.
Yeah.
So then after I tweeted that, Ethan unfollowed me.
Mm.
And then I talked about it in a Discord server, and I was like, Ethan Klein unfollowed me. I'm sad. And then I made a joke. I was like, Ethan, I'll support the IDF. Just refollow me.
Damn.
Because like Ethan was one of my favorite content creators. Like he was genuinely one of my favorite content creators.
Yeah.
Destiny's people screenshotted it, posted it to Reddit.
Destiny, for those of you who don't know, is just another fucking guy. Who cares? He's a liberal Zionist psychopath, from what I can tell. Who he chose an angle on October 7th, and then got yelled at, and decided to make it his entire, like, the hill he was gonna die on. That's from what I can tell. Yeah.
So they posted it to Reddit. Ethan saw it, and then I tweeted also. I also tweeted. I was like, not one of my favorite content creators and following me because I'm pro-Palestine. And then he quote retweeted it and was like, the reason why I unfollowed you is this, and then he did like a whole episode about it. And then from there, it's just been the spiral.
It's been crazy to kind of see it. You know, for me, I'm watching it all kind of like after the fact. And so like I'm picking up all of this stuff as what I would consider like a normie, right? Like someone who's like doesn't really know too much about streams, well, you know, and that kind of that community of like internet personalities. Like I know Hasan, and I know this one guy who does music, Anthony Fantana. He's great.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, you know, he's pretty sick.
Yeah, he's. I love that guy too. He's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's been interesting to watch, because it seems like you have been such a focal point for him as like someone to attack. And I just want to, you know, before we continue talking about this guy, tell me about yourself, and tell like our audience about you, like what kind of content you do, and yeah.
So my name is Frogan. I started doing content creation in 2021. I became a full-time content creator in 2022. I used to be a public health scientist.
Whoa.
And then I just transitioned into streaming full-time.
Damn, girl.
I mostly do just chatting. I do reacts. I do commentary, mostly on like reality TV. I barely talk politics, but like whenever October 7th happened, it'd be sprinkled in. Because I feel like growing up Lebanese, everything happening in the Middle East is like the first like political issue you learn growing up. You know, my dad had Al Jazeera on 24/7. So I was like, okay, like this is something I actually feel knowledgeable about, and I feel like I could actually talk about it. But even then, like politics right now is not a focal point for me, but just a sprinkle of politics.
That's interesting. I mean, I feel like this is not an uncommon story, at least with a lot of the people who make content, you know, like in that world, there's a bunch of people I know, and myself included. Like before this podcast, my other podcasts are about Sopranos rewatch podcast, and now it's a Mad Men rewatch podcast. It's like, you know, and that's not to say that I don't talk politics, or that I haven't in the past. I worked for AJ Plus, which is like Al Jazeera's online channel. I've been, you know, an anti-Zionist Jew for a long time, and
bro, you're anti-Semite, bro.
But you know, it wasn't, it just wasn't a thing that is a niche thing. Being an anti-Zionist Jew, it was like there was already so many layers of like knowledge you had to have in order for anyone to understand that, you know, type of content, that I was like, well, who would I be making this for? Like 15 other anti-Zionist Jews. And then after the 7th, yeah, a lot of people changed. One of my favorite content creators on YouTube, Indie Nile. I don't know if you've seen Indie Nile's stuff. Palestinian, who I think he lives in, I want to say the Netherlands, but I don't know, somewhere in Europe. And he was talking about reality.
I love Indie Nile. Yo, Indie Nile. Indie Nile, if you see my channel, man. Give it a little. Yeah. I never knew there was a drag therapist. Da-da-ba. I put that comment and we were talking one day.
Reality shows on his channel, and he's does drag, amazing drag. And then
I love
ever
the drag.
since the 7th, he like really started making these incredible video essays about Palestine and about Zionism and all that stuff. And it's like, for a lot of people, especially if you're Arab, if you're Palestinian, like you're forced into being political because you see with your own eyes stuff that is blatantly racist, and that if roles were reversed, the entire world would be outraged. The Western world would be outraged. Like if it were Jews, 2.3 million Jews in a concentration camp in Gaza being bombed to death. So it's like, yeah, it's interesting, just that you're like, hey, I was doing about content about reality shows, and fucking then this started happening, and you start getting attacked by this guy. So it kind of it seems to have continued from there. You were making pro-Palestine posts and talking about it, and at some point, have you and Ethan, have you ever had a conversation?
No.
Mm-mm. Crazy. Well, it's I want to say it's just so, it's kind of like blatantly racist that he just made you his focal point of like what a terrorist sympathizer is. Like you and Hasan seem to be the ones he will not stop talking about.
It's insane. Like, so,
yeah, he's
like watching
he's a fucking racist, bro. Ethan Klein's a racist.
Like, I don't want to say downfall, but like basically the end of like Leftovers, like all of October. I was like, oh, like it was insane because he kept bringing me up on Leftovers as well. I think the final episode was like an impromptu one on Hasan's stream where he brought Ethan on, and it was just like, one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way is he said that he doesn't think that Palestinians and Israelis could exist in like a one-state solution.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. I think he said that the Palestinians
would kill all the
piece
Jews.
of shit.
Yes, and I was like, I was like, okay. I'm just like, then what the fuck do you want the solution to be?
Yeah.
Like,
well, so yes, keep going on that.
Like obviously, like a one state solution. I think everybody could coexist. Like, granted, it would take work, but I don't think they'd be like Palestinians killing anybody because of it. You know what I mean? But after that, I was just like, you know what? Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
I was like, like I don't know. Like, obviously, like he talks about like feeling bad about the genocide, but it's just like I just don't know where he stands. But so after like November, he kind of like calmed down for a bit, and then in February, I went to therapy for the first time in like 5 years because I had a traumatic experience at therapy where my therapist was a Zionist. You know how like whenever you're in therapy, you give them like your background lore, and you're like, oh, like my dad fled Lebanon in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then she was like, I'm Israeli. Do you have an issue with that? And I was like, no. But then her question started being like, do you have any resentment towards your religion because of the things your dad has done to you?
Oh
And
my
I never even
God.
brought that up.
What?
Like, it just like shit like that. And I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Next therapy session, I was like, okay, I'm Arab. Do you have an issue with me? I reversed the question. I was like, oh, so now you're reversing it on me. And then I just like stopped going to therapy.
Yeah.
That was a background story for that.
But you know what's interesting about this is that that he took such offense at
when you asked it.
This tweet. Well, number one, it's like, again, it's showing this complete ignorance of what Zionism is. He's constantly, like, from what I've seen, he just keeps conflating Zionism and being Jewish as like the same thing. And he claims to have a working definition of Zionism, but it's completely devoid of any historical context. It's like his definition of Zionism seems to be it just means that you believe that there should be a Jewish state, not that there should be a Jewish state in Palestine, not that all of Palestine belongs to the Jews, not that therefore ethnic cleansing is justified because it is part of the belief that in order to have a Jewish state you need an ethnic demographic majority. Like, it's just like, oh, it's as simple as that. He just he has no he has no real working definition of Zionism.
Right.
It also, what's interesting about it is, do you know how many people we have had on this podcast say have almost the exact same story? We had Emma Vigeland came on this podcast, talked about the exact same thing. She was talking to her therapist about what was going on in Gaza, and apropos of nothing, her therapist was just like, well, I
gotta clean my longboard. I would love to do some stream. Maybe I could do like a longboarding stream one day. That'd be cool.
Of Israel, and something along the lines of like, well, I just want you to know I would die for Israel, or some I believe that was her story. It could be someone else's. There's a few
the one
people.
I just said was from 5 years ago. Like, that was from 2019. And then the reason why I tweeted about it again was because I started therapy again, and like, obviously talking about Palestine was something I was going to talk about in therapy, and my therapist was like, yeah, I just don't care about what's happening over there. To me, it's just another place in the world.
Beautiful.
And I was just like, and this was in February 2024, and I was just like,
what a great therapist. Jesus fucking Christ, these evil ass people, bro.
I was like, I feel like I'm going batshit crazy. I'm like, I thought I finally found like another good therapist, and she just unleashes that on me because I waited a couple sessions to bring it up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so then I tweeted about like my frustrations, and he saw the tweet, and he was like, oh, that's when like the anti-Semitism claim started against me, where he was like, just say she's Jewish. And then like whenever he did that, I became the face of Stop Anti-Semitism on Twitter. They made like a whole post about me.
Yeah.
And that was a disaster.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, because like I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not. I never have been.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a very I want to say understanding environment where like we were knowledgeable. Okay, I've never conflated Judaism with Zionism. Still don't.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Going to.
Which is a thing that is is blatantly anti-Semitic that Zionists do all the time.
Yeah, it's just like it's insane. But so that happened, and then after that, it chilled off for a while, and then September. This one's kind of my fault because like I tweeted. Because he tweeted about 9/11. He posted about 9/11 some dumb shit, and I forgot what he said. And I just quote retweeted the tweet I saw with his screenshot of his Instagram story, and I was like, this motherfucker never shuts up.
Yeah, I saw that, and from there, just an entire meltdown of just kind of, again, where you are, the target of not just him, but also like his community, and also all of the Destiny guys who apparently are boosting him and all this stuff. And it just seems it seems like what you represent to him is, if I'm being cynical about it, is a perfect avatar for to normalize this idea that Arabs are racist or Arabs are anti-Semitic. Like, you are someone who is what I would say is like a normal person in who happens to be Arab. So you have this like understanding of what racism is, because you're like, oh, look, it's an apartheid state where all the Arabs are forced to bend to the will of the Israeli government. And yeah, but because of that, you'll shitpost. You write something funny and glib. You did this really great thing at TwitchCon, which I think led to you being banned. Is that right?
Yes. Oh my God. Like, it's genuinely the dumbest shit. Oh, I okay.
Yeah.
So we started planning for the panel in June.
Mhm.
Okay. And we wanted to do something like fun and interactive because we got the opportunity to do our podcast I have called Arabs live at TwitchCon. So we came up with the Habibi tier list, which
Yes.
if you're on the
Here it
internet, you've
is.
seen like black content creators do like who could say the N-word pass,
Right,
who's invited
right,
to
right.
the cookout,
Yes.
who could use AAVE. Like it's essentially our twist on it, but Arab.
Right.
So we were trying to make meme tiers. So we had 5 tiers. We had Arab, Arab coded, asks permission, thinks it's a slur, and loves
Right.
Sabra.
Right. And this was who gets the Habibi pass.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And it was
Habibi.
you would put different content creators based on like how you would perceive whether or not how is it's sort of like how Islamophobic they might be, or how deeply uncomfortable they are with Arabs. That was the feeling that
It was more so just like it was a meme tier list. It was more so
Yeah.
just like because Habibi obviously is just like a term of endearment. It's like my
Yes.
love, darling, whatever.
Yeah.
Like people use it for their friends, family, significant others. So we were just like it literally had no meaning. It was just us like fucking around, honestly.
Yeah.
With the love Sabra tier, that's what caused the most controversy.
Because Ethan apparently loves Sabra, which is one of the like most insane things about this story is the amount of like caping he does for this very mid fucking hummus brand from Israel. It's like for anyone who's had it, it's just like the most Wonder Bread fucking type of hummus that is out there. It's not to say that it's like a
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. That like Ethan Klein was like freaking out about hummus or something. It was insane.
It's like poison, although it does support Israeli apartheid. But it's like he was really mad about Love Sabra. He was,
It's shitty. It's a shitty hummus. And unfortunately, it's like the standard of hummus in America.
yes.
And I'm just like, get it from like a Middle Eastern place. Like it'll taste significantly better.
Trader Joe's is better. Go to Trader Joe's. They do a Mediterranean hummus. It's better than fucking Sabra. It's
You know what's
insane.
funny?
Yeah.
Myself and Arabs, Raf and Capri, we did like a blind hummus taste test earlier this year in March, I want to say.
Yeah.
And Sabra was our least rated.
Yeah.
It was our least rated. So like it was basically a meme from that too. And then like somebody told me I have tweets from like 2016 shitting on Sabra hummus. Like this shit runs deep.
Yeah. I've been hated Sabra.
Yeah, this is not anything new. I fuck that shit. So
If
then
I see Sabra, it's on site.
it's just so gross.
Yeah,
But-
it's nasty.
So we thought nothing of like we were like whatever. And then he made a video on his YouTube channel talking about how the tier list was Arab good, Jew bad, and that
Yes.
Sabra is an Israeli or a Jewish person born in Israel.
Right, which
I didn't know.
Yeah, I know. That's when I knew he was like bad faith as fuck, because I was just like, literally nobody knows that except if you are like Jewish and into this. Like not just Jewish, but you have to be like have known about Israel, you know? Like
Yeah.
nobody knows that Sabra is a term for a person born in Israel. That's what it means. It is like it's a mark of distinction ever since, the 60s. People would, be like, Americans would be like, "Oh, he's a Sabra," just like, isn't that cool? He's born in an apartheid state.
Yeah, I didn't know that until
Yeah, nobody
he said that, and I was like, first of all, grammatically, it doesn't even make sense. Love Sabra.
Yeah.
So I genuinely thought it was gonna blow over.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm in Vegas. Because I was in Vegas when the video dropped. I was driving for a music festival. I was going to When We Were Young Fest. So I was like off my phone kind of mostly of the weekend. But like honestly, I started tweeting back. I was like, you know what? Fuck this motherfucker. Because he came after Raf, who is Arab Jewish, and he basically called him the Candace Owens of Jews. And I was just like, dude, I'm like, grow the
Oh
fuck
my
up.
God.
I'm like, just because he's anti-Zionist and Jewish doesn't mean you can call him the Candace Owens of Jewish people.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm like, okay, they're going after my friends. He's like posting them to his Instagram story. He posted Capri to his Instagram story, and I'm like, dude, like, I'm done. I'm like, I feel like I was just like quiet the entire year, just like not doing anything, like trying to like
do your thing.
Yeah, do my thing. I'm just like, I don't want to like, what's the term where it's beat the hornet's nest or something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to do any of that, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm just like, I'm done. I'm just like, he's going like after people I like love and care about, and I'm just like game fucking over.
Yeah, you don't want to kick the hornet's nest. That's what that's how you say it.
But so I had a few tweets up, and we were basically communicating through. I tweeted, he screenshotted it, responded to it.
This is
blah blah. Like, it was
this would be a romantic comedy if it wasn't so racist.
Yeah, I'm like, why is this man so obsessed with me?
Yeah, why is he so obsessed with you?
And I tweeted, I was like, whenever I manifested a man being obsessed with me, I did not mean Ethan Klein.
Hey.
But, like, obviously that's a joke, and he took that to heart.
Of course.
But yeah, so I was like, whatever. And I'm like sitting, and I get an email from Twitch, and it was like, you're banned for 30 days. And I was like, what? I was like, 30 fucking days. I literally just like sat in my car for 2 hours staring off into the distance. So I was like, 30 days. And then I got banned too. He got banned too. And then
Were you all banned?
all of us were banned.
Wow.
Everybody on the panel was banned.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So
Right,
you
yeah,
know what
it's
I
your
mean?
livelihood, and it's like
Yeah.
every minute you're spending not streaming is money. Yes.
And got us banned.
Yes.
And they thanked Twitch for standing against blatant anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It-
I need them to be so fucking real. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I was like, my mind was blown. I was just like, I was just like, I didn't even know what to do. Like, I was just like in shock, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy too because you see the way in which like one of the
Whoa. My YouTube just started like acting up. That's not good.
things that has been, I think, not just a prime motivator for Ethan, but for, you know, speaking in general about like a lot of people who I know who I've tried to like talk sense to since October 7th. Prime motivators has been their fear of anti-Semitism to a point where
Oh no, what happened, dude? What the hell?
they're willing to like almost use the idea
I hope this fixes it. I don't know for how long, but it
that
looks
someone
like it's
could
working.
be anti-Semitic in order to keep them on, keep the blinders on, in order to not at all look at this situation with any kind of sense of scale. Because they, you know, I know people have just been doing nothing since the 7th, but consuming media that is telling them Jews are not safe. You are not safe in your country. Look at the colleges. You know, look at these tweets. Look at these streamers. You know, look
the streamers are coming.
at the way that Zionism is used as a slur. All of this stuff. And you see this like fear of anti-Semitism being used so cynically by Zionists, and I'm not talking like Ethan Klein specifically. I'm talking about like Zionist institutions like the ADL, and I say that very specifically. I'm not talking Jewish I'm talking about specifically.
Yeah, the ADL is not even Jewish. They're an American institution. They go after leftists, but they go after leftist and pro-Palestine people. They don't go after Elon Musk, Donald Trump, who said anti-Semitic shit, Elon Musk, who said anti-Semitic shit, all the right wing who said anti-Semitic shit, the Republicans who said anti-Semitic shit, Twitter X, who literally has Nazi shit every day. It's literally Hitler's bunker. X. They don't go after that, but they go after any leftist, Cory Booker, Cory Bush. Who was it again? Cory Bush, I think. And dude, they go after any leftist or like fucking progressive, bro. It's such bullshit.
It is a Zionist institution. It has been a Zionist.
That's the problem with Zionism. Goddamn Zionists are evil as fuck.
Institution for most of my life, being something that exists to cape for Israel and to conflate Zionism with Judaism, and these institutions have power. You know, these are not like fucking. You know, you look at like the difference between the ADL and say CARE, right? You know, like CARE exists, but no one. Not even close to what the ADL can do, and you see that kind of institutional power, and it really makes me start going like, people need to understand that, like, when they're talking about a fear of anti-Semitism, they're talking about something that is like so desperate, so the disparity between the institutional power that anti-Semitism has, and the institutional power that Islamophobia or anti-Arab bigotry or anti-black bigotry, all this, it's like apples and fucking oranges,
right?
And so it really like it blows my mind when people, especially ever since the 7th, have talked about anti-Semitism as if it's even close to being in the same universe as anti-blackness or as Islamophobia or anti-Arab racism. It's like,
right,
there are anti-Semites that does exist. You're not gonna not get a job because you're a Jew in America. You're not gonna not be able to get housing. There's no redlining. Like people, I think, really. There's a great clip that I want to play of Norman Finkelstein talking to somebody who, I don't know him, but I thought he was doing a bit at first about anti-Semitism.
Here we go.
And, so let me just play you this, and I think it's indicative. I think it's a good point.
I think it's pretty undeniable, at least from my own experience, that there is very rampant anti-Semitism in the United States, at least.
That's your experience?
That has been my experience.
Are you Jewish?
I'm half Jewish, but it's not necessarily that it's directed at me, but people growing up, slurs against other races aren't tolerated, but slurs against Jews.
I don't know if I'm just like too online now, but I swear to God, I was like, oh, he's doing a bit, and this is really funny. To ask this question to Norman Finkelstein.
Bro, his eyes are.
But no,
his eyes are like white. He has like Witcher eyes.
Guy is dead serious.
I would hear pretty regularly, or lots of Jew jokes where you wouldn't be able to make black jokes.
I don't agree with that at all. First of all, there was an era in which one calculated anti-Semitism not by a person's thoughts, because you can't control a person's thoughts. And even you can't control your thoughts. And even you probably can't figure out what's your quote-unquote real motive for whatever you do. Are you interviewing me now because of a sincere inquiry into the life of the mind? Or does it have an egotistical component? Or does it go back to something your mother said when you were 5 years old? The human psyche very complicated, and it's not susceptible to easy analysis or control. So there was an era where nobody ever thought about those things. When you talked about anti-Semitism, it meant, does it affect your job opportunities? Does it affect your access to certain institutions of higher education? Does it affect where you're going to live? Does it affect negatively your interactions with the law? That's what anti-Semitism meant. They were quantifiable, palpable, lucid expressions of this phobia, whatever you want to call anti-Semitism, okay? By that reckoning, can you name me a place in the United States where a Jew would have trouble purchasing a home or renting an apartment? Name me one place. I'd be curious. Can you name me one university, one college, one in the whole United States where a Jew would have trouble getting in because he or she was Jewish?
No.
One. Could you name me one profession? Does the medical profession discriminate against Jews? There's a legal profession. I mean, that was once a problem. That's why Jewish law firms are created, because they couldn't get into the white shoe WASP law firms. Does that exist anymore? So this is just completely and totally ridiculous.
Damn.
First, I fucking love this man so much.
Damn.
I mean, everything he said there, I think, is just. I think it's perfect, because there does seem to be this like conflation of like that to be quote racist against Jews, to be anti-Semitic, means specifically things like or it's more that like being anti-Semitic is something that you sense in someone's deep secret heart. And so like what ends up happening is we just kind of we read into people and we read into their thoughts and we go, well, what does Frogan really think? Frogan's sitting there talking about Israel all the time. Why is that? You know, what does it mean that Frogan cares about this issue? You know, what does she mean?
My family's being actively bombed right now.
Yeah, right. But it's like, no, I think it's bigger than that, Frogan. I think it's bigger than that. I think it has to do with your deep, dark heart. It's this thing that I think I'm not like even unfamiliar with it, because it was something that for me kept me from wanting to talk about Israel with anyone who wasn't Jewish, because I was like, because I was afraid of what I was going to hear. In fact, you know, I've said this before, but like people could literally say my exact opinion, but if they weren't Jewish, I would be suspicious of it, because I'd be like, what do you, well, I'm like, I agree, but why are you saying that? Why do you care so much? And this view of like Zionist as a secret slur, not to say that it hasn't been used as a secret slur, that some people don't do that. Sure, of course people do that. The idea that we are going to normalize that kind of claiming of like taking the word Zionist and be like, no, it's now going to have this definition, slur. It serves one purpose, and it's to stop people from accurately pointing out what the ideological framework is that is causing what we're seeing right now in terms of a genocide in Gaza. It's like we can't talk about the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is not Jews. The root of the problem is
Zionism. Yep.
It is this particular ideology. And this is something that
I'm going to skip around because it's going to be a while.
That, you know, Israelis have talked about ad nauseum. This is not something new to anyone who's been talking about service, so that you can be banned for calling someone a Zionist.
Yep.
Which is crazy. And I have these tweets here from the ADL. In the time of dangerously escalating anti-Semitism, we commend at Twitch for changing their policy regarding the use of Zionist as a slur and proxy for hate against Jews. We are glad Twitch acted on our recommendations to make this change. However, policy is only as strong as enforcement, and we will be vigilant and appropriately skeptical about Twitch's enforcement of this new policy. when one of the largest streamers on Twitch, Hasan Piker, spends the hours after the Amsterdam pogrom minimalizing its harm without consequence, it's clear the platform still has far to go.
So you know what I thought about a lot, like during my ban. So Asmongold, one of the biggest streamers on the platform,
Mm-hmm.
you can call Palestinians inferior and say they deserve to be genocided and only gets a 2-week ban.
Yeah, yeah. And you said that Ethan Klein loves Sabra, and they were just like, burn her,
Burn her at the stake.
At the stake.
We put Denims, who was on the panel, in the Love Sabra tier. We put Scudish, who's a producer of Arabs, in the Love Sabra tier.
Yeah.
We put Jinxie. I think we put Asmongold, and then we put Sneeko. And it's just like, obviously, there are people that claim to be pro-Palestine that are anti-Semitic, and I feel like
Yes.
it ruins the movement. People like Sneeko, people like
Yes.
Jackson Hinkle, it ruins
Yes.
the movement.
Yep.
Yes.
But these aren't this isn't like the common thought of like everybody that's in the pro-Palestinian movement.
Yes.
Like obviously anti-Semitism is a real issue that
Right.
people deal with, but I feel like watering it down to criticism of Israel is very, very harmful.
Oh, 100%. It is extremely harmful, especially if you're someone who, as Ethan claims he is, like believes that there's a genocide happening, believes that Israel is an apartheid state. These are things that he said previously that he believes, and you know, I think, you know, we talked about this earlier. His talking about a one state as like not something that can happen.
Yeah.
What's really interesting to me, and I think what I've like learned from doing this incredibly tedious research on this fucking guy, is that he was not exposed to that much like Israel-Palestine stuff before this. Like I think he like
lived in Israel.
Yeah, no, he lived in Israel.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He lived in Israel. He is married to an Israeli woman. He is someone who I think in general has kind of not had to grapple with the realities beyond kind of like knowing basically like, yeah, there's some bad stuff going on over there. Very liberal Zionist.
Yeah.
This is like a classic liberal Zionist thing where you're the one who says it's complicated. You're not the one who says like, no, it's clear. Palestinians are the devil and need to be destroyed. You're the one who says, no, it's very complicated. There's a lot of factors, a lot of what have yous, a lot of whatnots. And, you know, the reason why he, from what I can tell, and I don't want to get too deep into his psychology, although what is this other than that? What I can tell is like he is, a lot of the resentment comes from the fact that, like he said in the clip before he called you out for breaking up with your therapist, was like, I've said all the things, you know? I called Israel an apartheid state. I called this a genocide. I've said all the things you want me to say, and yet it's not enough. You call me a Zionist. And the reason why anyone would still call him a Zionist is because at the end of the day, you're only halfway there when you're admitting that it's that it's apartheid. The other half is realizing you have to do something about it, and you have to allow people who are doing something about it to have the space and not try to, you know, cut them off at the head at every single opportunity.
Right.
And I think with him, it's like this. Why would people hate me when I mostly agree? You know, why do I have to agree 100%? And it's like the reason why liberal Zionism is so abhorrent to, I think, a lot of us is because you recognize, you know that this is apartheid, and you're saying,
Yup.
but it has to be. You're saying
This is the way it has to
well,
be. It's
we
either
have no
us
other
or
choice.
them.
They're monsters. We cannot live side by side with them. And it's like, so it'd be one thing to be a genocide denier. It's another thing to be like someone who recognizes that there's a genocide and is like, I'm going to make my role trying to deplatform all the people who are trying to get the word out.
And how they're all Middle Eastern.
And how they're all Middle Eastern.
Yeah.
Very specifically.
Like it blows my mind that like Raf, like I said, is a Lebanese Jewish man, got banned for anti-Semitism.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is a thing.
Blew my fucking mind.
Yes. Yeah. No. I mean, it's only part way of protection. Being Jewish and talking about this will protect you part of the way. But you see, like in Germany, like it's something like 1/4 of the people who are arrested in Germany for protesting against Israel
Are Jewish.
A quarter of them are Jewish, and it's like obviously vastly disproportionate to their actual like size, the demographic percentage. And so it's like you see this all the time, where it's like the people who are going to be harmed are also going to be Jews. So you kind of go like, well, what is actually what's the point here? But yeah, seeing some of like the way in which Ethan is like absorbed all of this Hasbara has been wild, especially because like, again, I only came in knowing those clips from before where it seemed like he had some sort of moral clarity. And then like when I asked people like, hey, can some people send me some, like, what's he been saying? And I just got a fuck ton of shit from people. Like everyone was just like, oh, I got a lot of videos, dog. There's whole accounts dedicated to like just clocking different like weird things that he has said on his various platforms. And like the subreddit like H3 Snark is like incredible. They're like, oh, don't worry, we have, it's like they're preparing an ICC fucking like trial. It's like the International Criminal Court for content creators.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'll just play a little bit of some of this shit he's been saying.
To like from the river to the sea literally is the like a saying that we need all of Israel must be ours.
See, I think that's part of.
That is not true, dude. It just means that like the land that has been taken by Israel should be returned from the river to the sea. All the land that's been taken by the apartheid state of Israel should be returned, and it should all live there together in one state. One democratic state. One.
But the problem is that people don't necessarily understand what some of this stuff means.
Yeah, including you, bitch.
That is part of the problem. That is actually...
And they're part of the problem. They are the problem.
No, it's like, yes, very much, you're right, that's part of the problem. I just don't think you've correctly identified who doesn't know what any of this shit means.
I feel like people are so deluded. They'll look at something like from the river to the sea and be like, oh no, that doesn't mean that they want to... They just want to create a secular state and peacefully live with Israelis. By the way, segregation is not real. There's 20% of the population in Israel is Palestinian, full citizens, integrated in all levels of work and life there.
I mean, like, so this is like Hasbara 101 stuff, right? Like this is, I think, what blows my mind about it is because I'm just like, oh God, you're now going into. You had just said in clips previous, Israel is an apartheid state, and then you're just this like, well, by the way, there's no segregation that happens.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense.
What does apartheid mean then? And I'm sure he's talking about, within the legal borders of Israel in 48. But like, again, to even say there's no segregation, you are lying. That's not true.
Yeah, in the
If
West
there
Bank,
was no segregation, why are there checkpoints?
Right.
Why
Well,
are
yeah.
there separate roads?
East Jerusalem.
Yes. And
It's
and
like-
within 48, there's all sorts of segregation.
Yeah, in East Jerusalem and in the West Bank, they segregate everybody. You gotta drive on different sides of the road, walk on different sidewalks.
In terms of like housing, I mean, there's redlining. There's all sorts of different ways in which the Israeli Arab citizens, as they call them, because they will not officially recognize anything called Palestine, so they are Israeli Arabs. They deal with massive amounts of discrimination. It is an insane thing to say, especially as someone who has lived there, that there is no discrimination against them. Fucking wild.
States is not going to happen, and I don't think it's a realistic idea either. Sorry. I think it's kind of silly to even pretend like that's not just a genocide of the Jews there. If there's a state of Palestine, it makes sense.
Genocide
But if
of the
you're in one
Jews.
state,
Oh my God.
Again, it's just like
But like,
it's just like
How does allowing other people that aren't Jewish into your democratic system a genocide of the Jews? Are they gonna outbreed you? Are they gonna interbreed with you? Are they? It's just gross. How is it genociding you, you fucking freak?
you know, that's just the genocide of the Jews. This idea of like we cannot solve apartheid or this current genocide because if we do, then we're the ones who get genocided. Is just like, you know, he wonders why people yell at him. It's like, yeah, this is why, bro. This is why. It's because at the end of the day,
it's an insane take. It's like genuinely fucking crazy.
it's genuinely crazy. It's genuinely crazy to be like, we cannot. There's nothing that we can do about this. That this is. It must be a perpetual state of affairs. And it also points out, I think, the obvious, which is that like. At the end of the day, he's like the only answer here. You know, he says 2 states, and it's like I think he knows full well that is not going to happen.
Right.
So the only answer here is ethnic cleansing and genocide, and it's him allowing for it because at the end of the day, and this is not uncommon, it's not just him, but
Yeah.
you know, the value of human life here goes far in favor of the loves Sabra category, if you know what.
Like, if you know there's not going to be a 2-state solution, and you know there's not going to be a 1-state solution, they're just going to keep getting genocided, you fucking idiot. So you have no answer. You are pro-fucking genocide. You are a Zionist asshole.
What I mean, like, for him specifically, it's like, you know, it's Jews are the more worthy of the land, you know. Yeah, it's crazy.
all that's going to happen is like everybody is trying to bring as many people there as possible, and like by the time they're
He's talking about right of return there, by the way. Like he's talking about, he's trying to map out what would happen if, you know, there was one state, and he's like, all of a sudden everyone would move there. And now he's talking about if there was a Jews as a demographic minority within Israel, which is a really interesting question, I think, for a liberal Zionist, because you go like, if Jews are a minority within Israel,
Who gives a shit?
does that make it, for you, is that the same as genocide? You know what I mean?
No, that
Like,
should not be a...
Are you saying it is genocidal to not have ethnic control of a land? You know, like, to me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's ethno-fascism. If that's what you believe, then you're not you're not
Yep.
a liberal person. You're not a progressive person. You're just like, no, it has to be an ethno-state. That's crazy, dog.
And it's like he was saying the other day, like he agrees like 95% with us. It's just like, if you agree 95%, why are you trying to get everybody deplatformed?
Exactly. And I think, you know, the answer to that is that he believes it is that anti-Semitism is the worst possible thing in the world. Worse than genocide is just people saying coded anti-Semitic messages. And like for him, I think he just looks at it and he goes like, I'm going to make this my thing, because the work I would have to do internally in order to like be someone who is for ending Israel, which is what he would, you know, that's how he would define one state in which everyone has the right to vote. Like, that's too much work to do internally. So instead, he needs to have an enemy, and he's made it you and Hasan for some reason. I don't really know why. It could be anything, Frogan. I really think. Really think
it
you'd
might be because the skin color.
be anything.
There,
It's just-
frankly, are a lot of
Go ahead.
And I was just gonna say it's crazy because I started watching him because of Frenemies with Trisha, and I started watching him because of Leftovers with Hasan.
Right.
And a couple of years ago, I had like a manifestation list of people I wanted to collab with, and he was like at the top of the list. But I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it in this way. You know what I mean?
No, be careful what you wish for.
I know.
Next time, don't wish for that when you have the monkey's paw. You know what I mean?
No,
That's
And like I said before, it's not like I didn't know he was Jewish. It's not like I didn't know Hila was in the IDF. It's not like I
Right.
didn't know they didn't live in Israel.
right.
Um,
You just liked a content creator because you assumed that they'd be normal if this happened.
yeah, like I mean, he's even talked about Palestine briefly years ago, and I was like, okay, like they're based, I guess. Like
Yeah.
go off. I thought they were like, especially like with like Hila being in the IDF. I thought she was like one of the people that were like reformed and like knows it's bad and whatever.
Right.
But then,
Nope.
like you said, after October 7th, it was like mask off.
Yeah.
So I couldn't support this person anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like I suddenly became aware of like her presence in the IDF or like their Judaism. Like I'm like, dude, like I need him to be fucking real.
yeah.
But like I just don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, who would have thought that they would have gone this deep in? Let's see how much deeper they go.
Yeah.
Palestinians, right,
Well-
in the area.
What can you say, honestly, Frogan?
And once the Palestinians outnumber the Jews, basically, anything is fair game for the Jews. Anything. 1948, the War of Independence is called in Israel. Others know it as the Arab-Israeli War.
And yeah, I was
After
gonna
the
say the
partition plan,
Nakba.
the split,
Yeah.
the Palestine into a part Arab, part Jewish. As many of you probably know, every Arab country around Israel waged a war of annihilation to basically prevent the state from being formed.
Yeah, which is again total. You know, this is more Hasbara 101. This idea of like the creation of the state of Israel and the Nakba being something that was carried out because of the invasion of all Arab states to try to destroy the Jewish people is just basic Hasbara shit.
Go listen to Hasan. Actually, you know what? Go listen to Hasan. People say, I need to go listen to Hasan. This is bullshit. Please, go listen to Hasan. Who fucking, by the way, yells at people in chat, calls them Zionist genocidal monsters for suggesting that the hospital wasn't bombed. Okay.
There's nothing that
How about this?
there's nothing
Yeah, I remember when all this shit happened. He's been out of it for a while.
that makes me, I think, respect Hasan more than his open contempt for the piggies. We have the same thing. You know, it's like I think I think this is the problem actually with Ethan is I think he needs to have a little bit more contempt for the opinions of his chat. That way he doesn't take things so personally and doesn't like. I mean, I feel like he was made into this by the fact that his chat exists and he was just getting in fights with people in his chat, and more it just made him more and more pro-Israel. I mean,
Yeah.
so it seems like, dog. Just pretend they don't exist or something, or stop streaming. I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
Ha!
Okay.
For
He
real.
wants
By
the
the-
echo chamber of chat.
Yeah,
No
straight up.
criticism.
Yeah, that's what, and you know,
That's why he turns off all his comments. He turns off all his comments on every video. It's crazy.
I mean, fine, but fucking, you let them radicalize you first. What the fuck are you doing? Take a note from Hasan. Just be like, hey, shut up, hogs. I mean, take a note from. That's what we do. That's fun.
At IDF, which is the same fucking thing that Hassan's fans come and tell me. And you know what? I lose fans, I lose subs, I lose memberships every time I say this. And I gotta stand on my principles, man. My take was, let's be a little thoughtful of Jewish people. That's all I want is a conversation. I don't want to be shouted out that I'm a Zionist. You're a fucking anti-Semitic person. I know, because being racist is the worst thing in your life. It's the worst thing you can be in your
Is
world.
that about me?
And yet here we are.
It might be. I don't know. Probably. At this point, I just assume he's talking to you, Frogan. Well, him being racist is the worst thing you can be in your world. I was like, I think in your world too, at least at some point, in your world, you also would have thought being racist was the worst thing you could
I
be.
don't understand why he's acting like a saint when you can look at literally people are pulling up clips of his racist past from
Yeah.
him like dropping the N-word.
Yeah. I mean, that's that's the other thing is it's just like you can't. It's the internet, man.
I know. It's like
Do
you
not-
have a footprint. Like
You have a
everybody knows
footprint.
the kind of person you were.
Do not claim to be perfect, dear dog. Like, please.
Calling me a Zionist. And as far as Jews go, I'm about as un-Jewish as they come. Okay? I don't fucking care about any of that shit.
I feel like you care a little.
You
bit
seem
about
like you
some
care
of
a
this
lot,
shit.
boy.
Yeah, it is. It's wild to watch, and it's like this is not someone who I even really wanted to do any episode about it because I was just like I don't know, like people when you're streaming all day, I'm sure you say a fucking thousand things. It's like for me, I compare it to podcasting. Do podcasting a couple hours a week. At some point, you're gonna listen to an old podcast. You're like, "What the fuck did I say?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The context for that is important, but I think it's like for him, I just was like, I give him the benefit of the doubt. Even if he had just been like starting drama with y'all and just kind of like yelling at you, and there'd just been, I think I would have ignored it completely.
Yeah.
I think I would have been like, hey, this is no different than what's been happening on the internet for forever. Everyone gets into fights. YouTube drama exists.
Yeah.
Whatever. But the difference was when I started seeing Ethan using institutional muscle in order to silence the voices. That's when I said, this is a topic we should cover here on this show, because I think it points out the stark difference between how we treat Islamophobia, how we treat anti-Arab racism, and then how we treat fucking anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
For real.
It's just like
That's so true, yo. Like there ain't no fucking government body or whatever like trying to fight off Islamophobia, anti-Palestinian hate. There's nothing like that. But as soon as you criticize Israel, you say one little thing, all the right-wing asshole nationalist Christian fucks that think that the second coming of Jesus is going to happen come out and attack you.
amount of fucks that Western institutions give about anti-Semitism, or what is essentially perceived anti-Semitism, which is not most of the time anti-Semitism when it comes to Israel. They give more fucks. It is something that I think is incredibly unhelpful for the rest of the Jews, at least in my opinion, because I'm just like this. All this does is strengthen right-wing anti-Semites' views of Jews, which is that Jews are, cry bullies who are secretly control the world. Like, all it does is make people actually fucking anti-Semitic. And I've said this from the beginning, that I just I can't stand this idea that the state going out, pretending to claim we are all Jews, we are the avatar for every Jew in the world, then is going to act in the most callous, disgusting, cynical, racist way possible, and make us all, painted with this brush. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just in terms of what have you been dealing with regarding this kind of being called out by StopAntisemitism.org, or being called out by name by the ADL? Like, what is that done?
It's crazy. I'm obviously getting accused of being anti-Semitic, and whenever people see somebody piling on somebody they think they don't like, it's just like it becomes a pile on, it becomes a snowball. When they came after my livelihood, I'm just like, okay, this shit's actually serious.
Yeah.
Whenever they put me on Stop Anti-Semitism in March, I was kind of freaking out, because I'm like, this is damaging.
Yeah.
The difference between Ethan and I is whenever I call him a Zionist, it's because I have basis to call him a Zionist, and I know
Right.
how harmful it is to call somebody something when they aren't that.
Yes.
Whereas when he's calling me an anti-Semite, he has no basis.
Yeah.
It's all like he's getting this information from a fucking subreddit and like creating dog whistles that I didn't even know existed to try to pin me
Damn.
as an anti-Semite.
Yeah. Yeah. It's especially hard because like the amount of like dog whistles and or tropes that are just kind of like not invented, but almost like you put a spotlight on something that people are like, I didn't know it was a trope. It was like fucking Greta Thunberg like saying free Palestine, and she's got a plush like octopus, stuffed animal, and people are just like, that's a trope. She's doing anti-Semitism, and it's just like, now you're
Wait,
like,
why?
because the octopus is an anti-Semitic animal, because Nazi cartoons show like Jewish bankers or whatever being like an octopus holding the globe. It's supposed to be. It's like,
Oh, I didn't know that.
you have to really. That's the thing. Of course, you didn't know that. It doesn't matter. Because it's fucking bullshit. It's just a way to I'm gonna call you anti-Semitic based on stuff I just see in your background right now. First, I'll start with you. Looks like you have some sort of like Roman statue there, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you know this, but a big thing with like white nationalists, online is like Western civilization stuff. You always tell a Nazi by how much Roman shit they have on their fucking post. So that's one. All right, what else do we have in the background? I see a kitty cat. One of the biggest criticisms of Israel is the fact that they just have like cats, fucking stray cats everywhere. It is just like a city, like they had a mouse
Mad pussy.
problem at one point, and they were like, let's get some cats, and then they never dealt with the cat problem. So what I see there is you saying that Israel is a pussy.
Me personally?
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
I hate cats.
Oh, okay. Well, that's also anti-Semitic because Israel loves cats. They're everywhere. What's your problem? Ostrich. That's an anti-Semitic trope. You see, the ostrich is a big bird that can't fly, just like Benjamin Netanyahu. He's a very big man, but he can't fly because he's a coward.
He's gonna get
unlike his hero
arrested. He's
brother.
gonna get arrested if he goes to any country. Woo!
Let's see what else. You got all sorts of stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
you've got a mirror. The point is that you are just an anti-Semite based on any trope that I can kind of connect with my own mind by just looking at you.
Yeah, in my
no
head,
matter
I'm
what.
like, if I was ever blatantly anti-Semitic, let me know.
Yeah,
please.
yeah, and I think that's interesting because it is
The
something that
Roman statue.
I feel like is a big difference between some people like Ethan and others like maybe me, which is that like I have seen people I know cross lines that I'm like, that's iffy. And for me, because I know them or because I'm familiar in general with their kind of content that they make, I am able to put that I can take it on good faith, you know? And like, it's very, very rare when I find someone who like I know personally who ends up all of a sudden saying the most fucking like racist shit. Like for the most part, I tend to take people, at face value and assume that there's just things that you don't know. You don't know about this octopus plushie thing. You don't know about this trope. I'm just going to assume you don't know. Like I barely know. And I think like it's rare that it happens where I'm like, oh shit, man, this person I've known for this long holds some really crazy views. And then October 7th happened, and pretty much every liberal Zionist I know went fucking racist as shit. And I was like, oh, it has happened. Only in that direction. Only in that direction. I don't know. None of y'all have been anti-Semitic towards me. It's fucking crazy. No, pro-Palestine people, Arabs, anyone, like it's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous is what I'm saying. Sorry if I yelled at you.
No, you're fine.
Okay, good.
I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah, you're like, oh, again, a Jew yelling at me. What else is new? signed up to be yelled at by another goddamn. These fucking Jews. Oh, he's yelling at me. Oh my god. Oh, it's fucking insane. So your stream is back now. You're still you're back on Twitch.
Yeah, I'm back on Twitch. I've streamed a couple times since the unban. I'm kind of like dipping my toes in, you know. I'm just like,
are you what are you worried that? I mean, I assume you're worried that this could fucking happen again. Like they're just gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that like Twitch isn't forever. I want to branch out to other platforms. I'm probably going to start posting on YouTube more, like as an individual instead of my podcast as well. Because I'm just like, you know what, like I don't want to deal with a platform that is like listening to like using us as a scapegoat whenever they get the slightest pushback.
Yeah.
And then now like we can't even talk about something Zionism that personally impacts our lives.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I mean, even before October 7th happened, I mean, I'm not Palestinian, I'm Lebanese. It was something I've always cared about, but now they're bombing Lebanon. Yeah. My cousin got bombed the other day, so it's just like I can't talk about it because you know I'm in fear of being banned.
Yeah, and even if you were, you know, not from Lebanon, even if you were from Iraq or you know, I think it's insane to see to wonder why any Arab person would have something to say about this issue. It's like, why do you think it just because they see blatant anti-Arab race? It's an apartheid state that separates the Jews and the Arabs.
It's insane.
It's fucking obvious. How do people just go like, well, why do you care about it? It's just like, look.
The funny thing is people have been telling me to go back to my country, but they're also, I mean, I'm American. I was born in America, but now they're saying I'm cosplaying as an Arab woman because I am from Michigan. And I'm half. And I'm just like,
that's amazing.
I'm like, pick something. Do you want me to go back to my country, or am I a white girl cosplaying as an Arab?
Yeah, and also you're from Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, I am from Dearborn. Dearborn is like the biggest Arab population in America.
I was gonna say you're from the Middle East of America,
right? So it's just like although I'm half white, I feel like even with my mom, to be quite honest, it's like I feel like I identify more with my Arab side because that's a culture we were raised in.
Yeah, I mean,
you know?
and it's crazy to me. I mean, obviously, these are all just like excuses that people use in order to say like, oh, well, this is a way. It's a way to delegitimize your criticism. And it's just like, oh, you know, the only reason you're doing this is because you know, it's like, it's a way of like racializing something that is like. I think one thing we can all agree with as like people who are pro Palestine is like. The constant racialization is one of the big issues we have here. I don't think you need to be Arab, Jewish, Palestinian, anything. You just need to be a human being.
Exactly.
To look at this and go,
human being.
This is, and it's funny because like I feel like you see people like growing up. They're like, if I was alive during like a genocide, like I would be doing X, Y, Z to make sure it's not happening.
Yes.
And then the same people that have said that are like actively supporting a genocide that's happening. It's just like, it's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you know, you know, it's one of the things I think that Aaron Bushnell actually said. He either posted it or he said it in the video before he self-immolated in protest of the genocide. Was that, you know, if you've ever said to yourself, if you've ever asked yourself, what would I do if my country was committing a genocide? The answer is you're doing it right now. And I think that is like, it's 100% true. And
I'm doing it right now, boys. A genocide is happening. I'm doing it. I'm talking about it. I'm listening about it.
I think a lot of people, one of the reasons they're digging deeper into it, you know, like Ethan, is because it's just easier. it's easier, and it's so much of all of this is based on ego. Like the amount of fucking times, like when people were sending me clips of shit that he said, like so many of the things that he said start off with a grievance he has with you or Hasan or some other fucking streamer, some other fucking person,
It's
and
like-
it's just the ego shit is what's really.
A literal genocide is happening.
Yes.
Put
Fucking-
focus on that.
Yes. Stop centering
Stop
yourself
this-
on this
yeah,
shit.
exactly. Don't individualize it. Like do fucking something with this big platform you have instead of trying to deplatform people trying to bring light to
Yeah.
a genocide happening. It's so stupid. It's just like
Yeah.
it's like, you know
Especially-
what? Yeah.
Because he's someone who's like, other than this, he's a likable person. I didn't watch his shit, but when I would see like random clips, I'd be like, oh yeah, that guy, he's funny.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a likable guy, and you know, he seems to be stuck in this ego, spiral when it comes
Yeah.
to this stuff, and this like paranoia that is like, I hate the paranoia thing so much because it is just, to me, it's just another. I'm like watching someone being traumatized by people who are using his trauma in order to continue a genocide. It's like it's this and like manipulating Jews to do to co-sign terrible acts or to participate in them themselves. That's way more anti-Semitic than a tier of like Habibi, Arab coded to love Sabra. That's actually anti-Semitic too. Whereas like what you're doing is fucking, you're doing bits.
Yeah.
And you're talking about real shit.
Yeah.
You're talking about actual fucking genocide. Anyways,
All right, y'all.
Frogan, it was so great talking.
Thank you,
about this. I'm sorry.
Frogan. Thank you, Matt Lee. We love
that,
you. We love you.
I'm sorry that this is happening.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you for having me. I hope I did okay because
I'm
like
sorry.
this is like honestly like my first time talking about anything
Oh wow.
in public, really.
Oh shit. Oh
Yeah.
well, I
So-
appreciate that. I appreciate it for listening. And until next time, from the river to the sea. What the fuck happened to H3H3?
Ha 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 ha
Jumping jacks was us. Push-ups was us. Krav Maga us.
Hell yeah.
Karate us. Taking Molly us. Michael Jackson us. Yamaha keyboards us. Charger Mix on us. Andor was us. Heath Ledger Joker us. Endless Pressex us. Happy Meals was us. McDonald's was us. Being happy us. Bikram yoga us. Eating food us. Breathing air us. Drinking water us. We invented all that shit.
Hey. That was lit.
A lot of times people see battles and skirmishes.
That ain't right. It's sped up. Sometimes people see skirmishes out there on the battlefield and they think that, that shit is a revolution, man. That shit ain't no revolution, man. That shit is a skirmish, man. Sometimes you see a revolution and you think it's a skirmish, man, but then that shit ain't no skirmish, it's just a revolution. What's going on? Why can't I? I hate the speed stays when you switch videos.
A lot of times people see battles and skirmishes on TV and they say, aha, the revolution is being televised.
Hey.
Nah, the results of the revolution are being televised.
Hey.
The first revolution is when
Hey.
you change your mind
Hey.
about how you look
Hey.
at things and see that there might be another way to look at it that you have not been shown. What you see later on is the results of that, but the revolution, that change that takes place, will not be televised.
The police coming straight from the underground. A young nigga got a
Back, cause it's brown.
and not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Can I tell them that I really never had a gun, but of the wax that the Terminator X spun. Now they got me in a cell cause my records ain't sell.
But they gonna let me say, well, why don't they start like this?
I transform like this, perform like this. Was Yoshi one new weapon? I don't contemplate, I meditate. Then off your pet. This that puts against the pet. This that I got realness. I just push cause it's in my DNA. I got millions, I got riches building in my DNA. I got dog, I got evil.
artist, what you gotta say? If I was on a label, you could drop me today. I'll be fine with it, cause the heart fed my page. I want a ceasefire, fuck a response from Drake. What you willing to risk? What you willing to give? What if you were in Gaza? What if those were your kids? If the West was pretending that you didn't exist, you want the world to stand up, and the students finally did. Let's go.
Those who died are justified for wearing a badge and you're chosen white. You're justified. Those that died for wearing a badge and you're chosen white. Those who died are justified for wearing a badge and you're chosen white. You're justified. Those who died for wearing a badge and you're chosen white. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses.
Woo.
Some of those that
They're KKK, yo. Fucking fascists. All right, let's check this out. Let's check out Cavernacle. Let me edit this into the bam. All right, let's go.
So a lot of you might be actually unaware of this, but there are various organizations online that pretend to fight against anti-Semitism, but they're usually fronts for like a pro-Israel agenda. Now, obviously the Anti-Defamation League has been one of the biggest examples of this recently, where it did have some degree of respectability, where it's
Yeah, fuck the ADL, dude.
Israel bias, although obvious to a lot of people like myself, wasn't as obvious to everyone, because, you know, they apologize for a lot of anti-Arab, anti-Islamic sentiment that they pushed in the past, but it's pretty clear, especially with the last year or so, that they are, you know, completely pro-Israel, even, you know, saying that Twitter has become a cesspool of anti-Semitism, which they were correct about, only to have a meeting with Elon Musk, who then declared more support for Israel, and then they're saying
Yup.
Twitter's actually pretty alright.
Elon Musk is a fucking Nazi, bro.
Who has used Twitter?
The fucking
it's actually
fascist, the white
probably the most
nationalist.
anti-Semitic place on the entire internet. But because there's a lot of people on it who are pro-Israel, including the head of Twitter, Elon Musk, apparently the ADL don't have much of a problem with that, even though he is allowing and he is actually paying people to be incredibly anti-Semitic. A couple of people on this list in front of us. Now, there's an organization that has been like pretty masked off for a while, and that is Stop Anti-Semitism. And you might be more aware of this one because it seems like they don't even really care about talking about mostly right-wing anti-Semitism, which is the real problem. On this, you have like Jackson Hinkle, right, who used to be left-wing but is now a fascist. These people are not left-wing. So when we talk about like left-wing anti-Semitism, who are we really talking about? I can't think of any significant left-wing figure who was actually anti-Semitic. Of course, Stop Anti-Semitism was rabid against Jeremy Corbyn, who, of course, groups like this think is an anti-Semite. And that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about them. But they do something every year called the Anti-Semite of the Year. And surprise, surprise, a lot of people who've won it every year haven't been right-wing fascists. They have been left-wing Congress people. And last year, even more like gross than usual, they picked Rashida Tlaib, which we're going to read about in a sec. But this year, they put out a list.
Fucking Greta
one that
Thunberg.
Ethan Klein-
Bro, Hasan Piker is not anti-Semitic. Cory Bush is not anti-Semitic. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Greta Thunberg is not anti-Semitic. Bassem Youssef is not anti-Semitic. Fuck this guy, he's a piece of shit. Fuck this guy, he's a piece of shit. Fuck this guy, he's a piece of shit. Why are these people lumped in as leftists? These people, good. All these other people can go fuck themselves. And Greta's good. Why are all these people, they're trying to conflate leftists with all these bad people. Leftists are good people. But look what they're doing, bro. Look. ADL. Elon Musk. Trump. This is what they're fucking doing.
would probably like himself, where Hasan Piker is the first pick, Cori Bush, John Cusack, and Greta Thunberg. They're the front four. Four left-wing people. Afterwards, an actual fascist.
So John Cusack is cool. Okay, I didn't know who he was. So he's a left winger. Okay.
Jake Shields. I don't know who Jess Natalie is. Jackson Hinkle, another fascist. Candace Owens, another fascist. Dan Bilzerian, another fascist. And Bassem Youssef, an anti-Islamist Egyptian comedian. On that list of the anti-Semites of the year, half of them are not anti-Semitic. They're just left-wing critics of Israel. And this is the dangerous thing groups like this do. They conflate all criticism of Israel as anti-Semitism. And of course what we're seeing recently, and I think even AOC voted for this bill, the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism actually includes comparing Israel to fascist Germany, right? So if you do that, that's actually anti-Semitism. And that's something that colleges have wanted to adopt recently, which is just so insane. Like, so insane to say, comparing the terrible actions of an apartheid state to the actions of this horrible fascist state in the 1930s and 40s, that's actually not allowed. And it would actually be racist against Jewish people to even make that comparison, even when, let's say, the Warsaw Ghetto and Gaza, you can make a very easy comparison between the two of them. So I want to talk about this today because it is absolutely insane. So here's their list, and I'm going to read you some of their justification for putting these people on. Like, obviously, a lot of them don't need any justification. Like, Jake Shields is just a fascist, right? So is Jackson Hinkle, the other people I said. I can agree that they are anti-Semitic. I cannot agree that, like, Rashida Tlaib last year swept the vote. This year, 10 new Jew haters are competing for the dishonor. Help us pick the top 3 to be announced on December 15th. So for people like Destiny and pro-Israeli people like Ethan Klein, I'm sure Hasan Piker would top the list for some bizarre reason. But it says here, Hasan Piker, a Turkish-American streamer, uses his Twitch platform to glorify terrorism and spread anti-Semitism. After 7, Piker defended Hamas, denying atrocities. Despite violating Twitch's community guidelines, he profits while spreading hateful propaganda. Cori Bush has cemented a reputation as a staunch anti-Semite through a disgraceful voting record. Ties to Jew haters like who, and support for pro-terror mobs on campuses, again, framing the pro-Palestinian peaceful protest in universities as a pro-terror mobs. She also blamed Israel's apartheid policies for 10/7. Following her re-election, Bush scapegoated the Jewish community, specifically AIPAC, for her loss. Is AIPAC the Jewish community? Like, how insane is this? A far-right Zionist lobby group, they're saying, is the Jewish community. Do these people honestly think this makes Jewish people safe at all? John Cusack has repeatedly spread anti-Semitic slander. His Twitter feed is rife with blood libel, conspiracy theories, and vile tropes, comparing Jews to white supremacists. Like, what is this bizarro land where you cannot make this comparison? Jewish people can be white. So you can be a white supremacist.
Yeah,
and
you can.
be of the Jewish faith or the Jewish ethnicity. Yeah, sure. As an ideology, usually things like white supremacy don't include Jews. But what we're seeing in America right now, that sort of ideology does include them. And they're actually the heads of institutions in the government, especially with Trump, who push this stuff. Like Anthony Blinken, are you telling me that guy isn't a white supremacist, right? And how they're justifying everything that's happening to Palestinians. Of course you can make that comparison. It doesn't make you an anti-Semite to make that comparison about people like Netanyahu, Anthony Blinken, who do believe in this Western chauvinist, supremacist ideology. Falsely claiming Israel created Hamas, well, that's not false. I mean, I'm pretty sure he probably didn't say that, but yeah, everyone knows that Israeli intelligence did help funding the early stages of Hamas to split the Palestinians against each other. Greta Thunberg has turned her climate activism into a platform for Jew hatred. She's joined the keffiyeh-clad protesters, voicing disdain for the Jewish state, from chanting "Crush Zionism" at protests to targeting Israeli Eurovision participants. Her activism now fuels anti-Jewish hostility. So, comparing all of this, comparing these people with the rest of them is so insane. So look, Jake Shields uses his massive social media platform to spread anti-Semitic rhetoric. And the thing is, right, this one is actually more brief and vague, despite the fact this guy is an actual anti-Semitic fascist, where I could tell you off the top of my head so much more stuff he said, but they seem to document the left-wing people the most, because they know the left-wing people have more credibility. The left-wing people are people who everyone listens to, right, about these issues because they make coherent arguments. So they're a bigger target because they threaten the legitimacy of Israel in Western politics more than these fringe figures who everyone can rightly see are pretty much fascist. So that is their, like, you know, insane list. And again, you see how they conflate any criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism, which, you know, how does that fight anti-Semitism? You're telling
You guys are making anti-Semitism way worse.
people all the actions of Israel are actually the actions of the entire Jewish faith and various different Jewish ethnicities, right? They all agree with what's going on. They all believe that is the true face of Judaism. And if you say a bad word about, I don't know, destroying Gaza, that means you actually hate Jewish people. So what do you want people to conclude if you put that in their mind? If you're saying that it's actually anti-Jewish people to be against all these atrocities in Gaza, what are you telling people? Are you telling people the real face of Judaism is all these atrocities? And how does that conflation make anyone safer? So if we go on their website, let's look at their past little graphics they made for people who won. So yeah, Rashida Tlaib, I think, is the only Palestinian politician in America. Obviously knows people who've been killed by the Israelis, and this is what they put out about her. She's the anti-Semite of the year. Not any of the other people, not any of the horrible fascists we see in Western politics who are like legit fascists. No, it's the left-wing Palestinian woman. She's the biggest anti-Semite in the world. And again, Kanye West won it the year before. So Kanye West and Rashida Tlaib, they're equally as bad. And of course, you probably have seen a lot of people have actually wrote articles about how they are just as bad. And actually, I saw an article and I read it on, I made a whole video about it. They said Jenna Ortega, for writing something critical of Israel, was actually worse than Kanye West. I'm not even joking. So let's
What the fuck?
quick. I'm not going to play the audio. It's just like some weird song. So here are a few reasons why the Congresswoman is long overdue for the crown. As soon as she took office, she replaced Israel on an office map with Palestine. Is that anti-Semitic? Just saying, you know, this whole territory used to be Palestine before an entire new country was built on top of it. So it keeps on going to say she was barred from entering Israel due to her support for BDS. Like, supporting boycotts on goods and businesses that do business in Israel, that's anti-Semitic. Again, as a result, she shared an anti-Semitic cartoon that depicts an age-old trope insinuating Jewish control. So Netanyahu and Trump are silencing Ilhan Omar and Tlaib. That cartoon is somehow anti-Semitic.
How is that anti-Semitic?
Again, totally not. Tlaib defended the BDS movement and suggested Jews prioritize Israel over the US, invoking the anti-Semitic trope of dual loyalty, which Tlaib didn't do. This organization does it all the time, though. If you're tying being a Jew so much to the state of Israel, what are you saying to people? That all Jews have some sort of interest in the state of Israel, so they're not actually like loyal to whatever country they're in. Apparently, it's also anti-Semitic to vote against Iron Dome funding and also call Israel an apartheid state. She voted against the bill, and the bill asserted that Israel is not racist or an apartheid state. The bill also expressed rejection of all forms of anti-Semitism and xenophobia. So again, they're saying she's an anti-Semite because she thinks Israel is an apartheid state, something that is very well documented. It also says here she's an anti-Semite because she accused Israel of bombing hospitals. This is back in 2023, right? Which we already knew they were doing this. There can be no argument they've done this now. So it's anti-Semitic that she told the truth. And remember, people like David Pacman were also saying this about her. Just absolutely gross shit. And again, she's been vindicated. She refuses to walk back the claim. Yeah, because she was right. She was right. And you're never going to walk back the claim that she's an anti-Semite for saying this, and she was proven right. So basically what you see on these videos is most of the people who win, like Ilhan Omar, mostly they're people who support BDS. Then you have one right-wing person in Kanye West on this list. So obviously, Stop Anti-Semitism is an absolute joke. If you're putting mainly left-wing Muslims or Muslim peoples on your anti-Semite of the year list purely because they oppose Israel, where the only person who's won for actually being an anti-Semite is Kanye West. So what is this doing to people? What is this making people think? The only way you can be anti-Semitic is actually be against Israel. Loads of other stuff, no, that's fine. Like, be a Christian Zionist who believes you should support Israel so they can start Armageddon to bring about the end times where Christians will ascend into New Jerusalem. And Jews won't be allowed.
Yeah, that's what they want.
To convert to Christianity.
It's the dumbest bullshit ever, the Christians. Like, what the fuck?
It's cool, actually. That's cool. Not anti-Semitic. It's these people who don't like a colonial project like Israel being built on top of their homeland, like Rashida Tlaib, right? So again, why this is so depressing for like anyone who actually cares about fighting against anti-Semitism is because it feels like we can just never turn back the clock now. It feels like now, because they're conflating all this stuff, like anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism, people just don't give a shit, and people are just going to say whatever, and that's what these organizations do. If you convince people that being critical of Israel is actually anti-Semitism, why will people think anti-Semitism is bad then? If you're seeing all the news coming out of Gaza and Lebanon, you're seeing the face of Israel, the true face of Israel, and the whole world is seeing it, and then you're saying to people, if you have a problem with that, you don't like Jewish people, I'm afraid, because this is our real face. Again, do they not see how insane it is? Not to mention, of course, loads of Jews don't actually support the state of Israel. Loads of people are critical of the Israeli state, even if they are Zionists. Like, this is how insane this thing is, right? There are people who support the state of Israel that be critical of everything Israel is doing now. Not loads of people, but if you're conflating everyone together as like pro-Netanyahu fanatics and saying that's the only people who aren't anti-Semites, you're just making it so dangerous for Jews around the world. And of course, this is something that pro-Israel campaign groups or just pro-Israel groups overall like to do. And then muddying the waters actually helps this goal, because an organization like Stop Anti-Semitism, and this might blow people's mind, actually creates more anti-Semitism through this framework. And I just need people to understand these groups don't care about anti-Semitism. They only care about Zionism, and that is actually what a lot of these groups are designed for. Even the ADL, they don't care. They'll partner with Elon Musk, who is insanely anti-Semitic himself, runs the most anti-Semitic social media platform, and pays people to be anti-Semitic. Like these people earlier, lots of them are verified on Twitter, right? So why is Elon Musk not on this list, considering all these people are verified on Twitter and get paid for their tweets? Even the people, obviously, I don't think are anti-Semitic. But he's not on this because he's pro-Israel, right? And if any of these people would turn around and say, I'm actually pro-Israel, they wouldn't call them anti-Semitic anymore. And that's just the gutter that is groups like this. And I actually remember, to end it, when I used to work in journalism, I wrote an article about COVID and how Israel wasn't allowing ventilators into Gaza hospitals, right? There's these groups that like monitor the press, and someone like emails my boss calling me like an anti-Semitic racist for just reporting this thing that was being like well documented around the global press. And it just shows you how they like to scare people. And what they've done now is, you know, people just don't take this stuff seriously. And will they ever take it seriously again? And that's how much damage they're doing to the fight against anti-Semitism by continually conflating it with being against the state of Israel, which isn't actually anti-Semitic, but to groups like this, that is the only thing that makes you anti-Semitic.
Right.
Tony O'Sullivan.
This is Hasan Piker.
This is my dog Kaya.
Let's finish the stream with this, guys. Isn't there a better fucking video, bro? What do you mean? It's only 400.
Let's cover the Donny O'Sullivan piece from CNN. Donny O'Sullivan showed up at the Hasan compound and got brolic as heck. We're gonna be looking at the article slash story. It's gonna be running on TV Donny too. O'Sullivan It's gonna be running on TV as well, which is very exciting. We did a much longer interview, and I believe that Donny's trying to get it longer. Too short. I'm sure that everybody could learn a lot from Hasan about the alt media landscape and his policies when he's engaged in a longer, deeper discussion with someone like you without the exaggeration for effect stuff. Would love to get a longer version posted. I'll talk to my colleagues, he said. But I think that there's more on that front. I mean, we talked for like an hour and a half. But like obviously CNN has time constraints. They make this pre-produced stuff, and then they try to slot it in. But I think they did a decent job of like to the best of their ability, just posting some of the best parts.
Bro, they gotta have Hasan on way more than like just once, bro.
Of it, I guess. But any kind of like positive coverage of me on CNN is something that I never would have expected, and I will never take that for granted. I will always be appreciative. It's not censorship. They're just cutting it for time constraints. It'll probably be on like prime time as well later in the day, and then Donny usually comes on and he'll speak about the experience and stuff like that. So that's very exciting. I think I'm up next on CNN maybe.
All right, this comes as Democrats right now are pinning their hopes tonight on this man, Hasan Piker, the left's biggest influencer. In fact, 7.5 million people tuned into his live stream. Yeah! 7.5 million. So who is he? And is he getting young men to swing left? Donny O'Sullivan went and talked to him, and he is out front.
Donny O'Sullivan.
This is Hasan Piker.
This is my dog Kaya. I thought you legitimately were gonna work out.
I could do some weights. He's a social media superstar with almost 3 million followers on the video streaming platform.
Aww.
They're eating the pets.
So this is that whole masculinity thing people are talking about, huh? And he's part of a growing group of streamers and podcasters reaching young men online, a space Trump tapped into to reach young male voters.
Punch in, then you won't be able to see that he's not doing any weights.
But Hasan is not a Trump supporter. He's a progressive, a fan of Bernie and AOC. The Democratic Party even invited him to the DNC in August. One thing we've been hearing for weeks now is that the left needs a Joe Rogan.
I don't think that the Democratic Party can podcast itself out of this issue. Joe Rogan, he endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2020. Maybe they should do an autopsy on why he left the party.
Yeah, I've heard you say when it comes to stuff that guys like, you seek that stuff out online, whether it's watching a streamer, whether it's watching guys talking about working out and fitness. You say that the right wing just dominates.
Look how
that
tall
space.
she is.
Yeah.
Why?
On TV.
Well, I think that's why I started on Twitch, right? I know for a fact that the video game space is like people who consume this culture, people who are a part of this culture are not all right wing. I wanted to showcase to people that like, no, you can be a progressive person, you can be a leftist and like have fun at the same time.
How many people were watching your live stream on election night?
Now, Hasan, are you anti-Semitic?
The total unique number was 7.5 million.
There's a general sense that when it comes to the world of podcasts, alternative media, I don't even know what you want to call it, that Trump did a much better job with that than Democrats and Harris.
Absolutely. I think that's true. When I saw the Aiden Ross collab, I thought, this doesn't have emotion. It was awkward. It was weird. But then I saw Trump on Theo Vaughn, and he started talking about cocaine. And I was like, uh-oh, this humanizes him.
So you're way up with cocaine more than anything else.
You're way up.
Cocaine will turn you into a damn owl, homie. You know what I'm saying?
Harris did consider going on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
But she didn't. What is it that the Democrat Party has to do differently?
Well, I think that they need to change their policies.
It's a policy thing.
Yes, it's 100% a policy thing. Which is the boring answer. Although it would be very self-serving for me to say, I'm the left's Joe Rogan, the Democratic Party should give me millions of dollars. That's not going to solve this problem. What will solve this problem is if the Democratic Party actually adopts real left-wing economic populist messaging instead of purposefully avoiding that stuff because they're terrified of upsetting their corporate donors. I think Trump speaks to mail insecurities better, and I think Trump speaks to the anger that people have. Whereas the other side of the political spectrum does not speak to that anger at all.
There's been a lot of controversy around you.
Yes.
The way you talk about Israel is viewed by some as anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Are you anti-Semitic?
Of course not. The real problem here is that I'm an anti-Zionist. The real problem here is that I'm extremely critical of Israel and all of the information that's readily available, especially on social media for so many people that don't necessarily rely on mainstream media any longer to get their information. And that's why you see this generational gap. If you're over the age of 35, you're still operating on the old boundaries. You're like, no, Israel's the most moral democracy in the Middle East, maybe in the world, right? Like, and I think that the major generational divide that is, I think, in a very damaging way, feeding into the mistrust overall that people have with mainstream news in general, is coming from that.
Joni O'Sullivan, CNN, Los Angeles.
Yeah, it was so thoughtful and important to hear that. Ken Martin is out front. He is running to be the next chair of the DNC. He's the current chairman of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. And I really appreciate your time, Ken. So, you hear Hasan Piker. 7.5 million people watched him on an election night. He's all in as a Democrat. But then he's talking to Donny about how the video game and fitness space online is dominated by right-wing people talking about it, right? Not necessarily everyone into fitness, right? That there's that gap. And he says that Trump speaks to male insecurities better. He speaks to the anger that people have, and that Democrats don't speak to that anger at all. I'm quoting Hasan here. He's very direct about the problem. Do you agree with him?
Well, first off, Aaron, thanks for having me on tonight. And actually, I think Hasan's right in most of what he says there, and particularly as it relates to the fact that the Republicans have been, since the 2020 election, a constant drumbeat of misinformation, disinformation, and lies on platforms that the Democratic Party really wasn't competing in. We live in a 24/7, 365-day information environment now that we have to be competing in a much better way. Podcasts, streaming services, TikTok, social media, of course. My two boys, 22 and 20, they get their information from TikTok, right? And so we have to start realizing that we have to be where the voters are. That's half the battle, of course.
Okay,
And
no,
I
he's
do
missing
think we
the
also
point.
have to
I didn't
use
say
micro-influencers
just
like
be at the
Hasan and
podcast.
others who are already trusted validators and messengers in these spaces to help push these messages out and to have conversations with voters and people who are feeling frustrated and angry and left
That's
behind.
not what
you
I
see, when
said.
we send people into these spaces, it tends to be politicians or
opposite of what I
talking
said.
heads. People like
I said
Hasan
change the
have
policies.
deep influence and certainly have a voice and a following.
So, there has been a lot of focus, and he sort of touches on that because he's talking about the dominance of right-wing voices in very male spaces like video games or fitness. And there has been, though, broadly speaking, Ken, so much focus right now, and as you're looking to run the DNC, this is at the center of it.
I said you're not going to podcast your way out of this problem.
Aggressively away from certain social positions like DEI, right? Or from issues where Democrats certainly seem to be in this election, and certainly were successfully branded as much to the left of American voters. For example, Kamala Harris's support of taxpayer-funded surgeries, transgender surgeries for illegal migrants. The heads of the Trump and Harris campaigns see the impact of that issue, of that now famous ad, very differently.
That's crazy.
I wanted to play each of them for you.
Oh my God.
We targeted black men, Hispanic families.
Oh my God, I'm dying. They did not. They're like, no, we have to find a Joe Rogan to the left and give him $1 million. That's the point. That's what we got to do. I don't know how else I can communicate this point like openly.
This trans ad was not driving vote. There's a belief that if only we had responded to this trans ad with national and huge battleground state ads, we would have won. I don't think that's true.
So, Ken, how do you see it? One of the most ruthlessly effective negative ads.
Yeah, don't worry. You're pregnant, just take it easy. Yeah. Yeah, you can come tomorrow. See ya. Yeah. Love you. I will.
of history, or this trans ad was not driving the vote. Even if they'd responded to it more effectively, they wouldn't have won. Which point of view is right?
Well, I don't know which point of view is right. What I do know is we don't have to abandon our values here. We can stand up for the oppressed and marginalized and people who are being pushed out of this conversation, while also at the same time centering this conversation around people's economic pain and their frustrations with what was happening in this country these last several years. It's not about left or right to me. It's about making sure we focus squarely on a working class agenda that centers the struggles of this multiracial, multi-generational working class that is feeling left behind, that's working harder than they ever have before, that's struggling to get ahead and feeling like no one gives a damn about their lives. At the end of the day, that's the thing that unites all parts of our broad coalition in the Democratic Party, and we need to focus back on basics here, right? But at the same time, we do not need to abandon our values. We will stand up and protect and fight for people who are being pushed out of this conversation in this country and bullied and attacked like we see in Congress right now.
All right. Well, I really appreciate your time. Ken Martin, as I said, chairman of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party. And I know, sir, you are running to run the DNC. And that decision for the Democratic Party is going to be crucial. So much is at stake. So thank you for your time. And you mentioned what's going on in Congress. Well, that comes down to this. The Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace now leading the charge when it comes to attacking transgender women. But wait until you see what she used
What a demon, that weirdo lady.
to say about the trans community. This gives About Face a whole new name. K-File has the tapes. Plus Harry Enton with what?
Okay, CNN watches you on mute just like chat. Yeah, the recovery was better from the guy. The recovery was better. Yeah, Aaron Burnett posted me on CNN. It's crazy. I think that was good overall. I think that the message, you know, the fact that I'm able to even say this message on CNN is a shift in the attitude, is a market shift, I think. At least they weren't outright attacking you. No, like, I think that, I don't know, dude. He gave him a layup and still fumbled, though. Donnie O'Sullivan didn't work out. No, he did. He actually did work out. They really diluted Israel critique. Don't know what you said, but it seemed clipped. Yeah, they cut it short for time constraints. It's not, I don't think they were like silencing me or anything like that. The thing is, like, that interview was like an hour and a half long, but so glad they didn't clip anything out of context. No, they wouldn't do that. They like, Donnie would not do that, chat. Come on. Overall, I think, like, talking about the trans stuff this much is so silly. I don't know. I just think it's so counterproductive. Like, the media is not, liberal media in general is not as much in the tank for the Democratic Party as everyone thinks they are. They do oftentimes have a tendency to push on reactionary buttons. Having said that, I think that the Democratic Party should be messaging on the trans issue a lot better by just being like, this is a deflection, this is a distraction, this is not actually going to help. This is not actually going to help people fix the prices, you know?
For real. Thank you, Hasan. Let's go to the Vanguard real quick. Okay, yeah, they were live. They're probably gonna post the videos tomorrow. Yeah, Cenk Uygur was like talking shit about
The Democratic voters do not agree
talking
with you.
shit
They agree
about
with
Sam
us.
Cedar.
So
I don't even.
I just want to show you guys this, and I'll log off.
The Democratic voters do not agree with you. They agree with us. So sad day for you, and I'm not going to let you lie and pretend the Democratic voters are on your side.
Shut
You're
up.
a liar, and they're not on your side. Do you agree that the Democratic voters are on my side?
I don't care what the Democratic voters
okay,
are on, of whichever side they're on right now. We've lost the plot. Okay.
No,
we've completely lost the plot because now the conversation is about like you know, the serfs or Majority Report, and I think that's a completely and utterly unproductive conversation to have.
Your strategy is when grifters on the left attack you, whether it's
I don't think they're
Rubin,
grifters.
I think Cedar's a grifter.
When
I disagree.
Okay. Oh, by the way, so now all of a sudden you're defending Cedar. When he calls me a grifter, you don't defend.
I don't.
Cenk Uygur takes money from cryptocurrency websites and gambling. You're a grifter, bitch.
Well, I've never heard him call you a grifter.
He's called me every name in the book. 'Cause
Okay.
He's a low rent grifter.
Stop.
Okay, no, I'll tell you. I'll out him right now. When we were in Vegas together,
Cenk has never really posted that high of numbers on Twitter, like up until recently, because he wasn't posting propaganda for MAGA. He wasn't pandering.
So it was. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious.
Let's.
I'm probably gonna end it here, guys. Oh, is that a real fucking owl, dude? God damn, bro. I don't know. Let's play away with some music. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I said to every bridge, are you sorry for what you did? Be like me and say you're sorry so, cause you've made a balls of it. Sorry I forgot to feed your rabbit, no lettuce for little Marv. Are you sorry for the famine and leaving us to starve? Sorry for getting stroppy, I get desperate monthly cramps. Are you sorry he introduced Hitler to concentration camps? Are you sorry for what you did? If you are, you keep it hid so well hid. Sorry for saying you've a fat arse, I gets nasty after wine. Are you sorry what you did in India or betraying Palestine?
Woo!
Sometimes rushing like a fool, I'll hold my hands up there, but I have nothing on the hastiness of Iraq and Tony Blair. I'm sorry you don't understand.
Barter.
We gave ye our lives, our land, and you gave us Nathan Carter. I'm sorry we're much loved and no one likes ye. But then ye did invade half the world, yet complain about
Grancy.
sorry for what you did. If ye are, you keep it hid. Well, it's nice to say you're sorry when you make a balls of it. I said to every breath, are you sorry for what you did? Be like me and say you're sorry so, cause you made a balls of it. Ain't about immigrants. Are you sorry for what you did? If ye are, you keep it hid. Well,
sorry when you make a balls of it.
I said to every breath, are you sorry for what you did? Be like me and say you're sorry, so, cause you made a balls of it.
Are you sorry for what you did? You are.